I wasn't looking for anything special, just a cheap place to stay. Somewhere quiet, nothing fancy. That's how I found Ridgeway Apartments, a decaying 4-story complex on the outskirts of town. The online listing made it look decent, though a little old. The rent was suspiciously low for a 1-bedroom unit, but the landlord, a wiry old man named Mr. Belson, assured me that it was just because the place needed a bit of fixing up. I should have questioned it more. The building felt wrong. Not in an obvious way. There were no eerie cobwebs or flickering lights. But the silence was unnatural. The moment I stepped into the dimly lit hallway, I felt it pressing down on me. The walls were a dull beige, scuffed, and peeling in places. The carpet smelled damp, like something had soaked into it long ago and never quite dried. There was a faint chemical odor, almost like bleach. Mr. Belson handed me the key. "You like it here," he said, grinning in a way that didn't reach his eyes. "Not too many neighbors. Peaceful." I nodded, adjusting the strap on my duffel bag. "Has the apartment been empty for a while?" He hesitated. "A few months." Then he added, almost too quickly, "The last tenant moved out in a hurry. Didn't even take most of his stuff." That should have been my second warning sign. The apartment was sparse, barely furnished. A sagging couch, a scratched coffee table, and a fridge that hummed loudly. The windows overlooked the alley, where a single dim street lamp cast long shadows against the brick walls. I set my bag down, turned on the light, and froze. There was a shadow on the wall, but not from me. I checked behind me. Nothing there. Yet the shape, vaguely human, stretched unnaturally thin, arms too long, legs bent in ways that didn't make sense. I blinked, and it was gone. Just my imagination, I told myself. A trick of the dim light. That night, as I lay in bed, I heard something, a faint scraping sound against the walls, like nails dragging over wood. I was too tired to care. The next morning, I ran into someone else who lived on my floor, an old woman with deep wrinkles and tired eyes. She was locking her door when she saw me and stiffened. "You took 2B?" she asked. I nodded. She looked like she wanted to say something, then sighed. "Don't leave your lights off at night." "What?" She shook her head and walked away. I watched her go, uneasy. That night, I kept the lamp on, and that's when I saw it again. The room was still, except for the shadow on the wall. At first, it was normal, cast by the bedside lamp. But as I watched, it twitched. The shape lengthened, bending at angles I knew weren't mine. My breath caught in my throat. I lifted my hand. My shadow moved. The other lagged behind. I lowered my hand. My shadow obeyed. The other kept its arm raised, fingers curling slightly. I turned, heart hammering. There was nothing there, and yet the shadow on the wall smiled. The next morning, I told myself it was just a trick of the light. Maybe I was sleep deprived. Maybe the old woman's warning had gotten into my head. That was the rational explanation. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. I left my apartment to grab some groceries. The hallway felt different, though I couldn't say why. The air was heavier, the lights seemed dimmer, and the walls, God, the walls. The shadows along the hallway looked too dark, as if the overhead bulbs weren't fully reaching them. I walked faster. As I passed apartment 2A, the door creaked open slightly. I turned my head, expecting to see someone, but there was only darkness beyond the crack. A dry whisper, too faint to understand, came from inside. I bolted down the stairs. Outside, the midday sun felt blinding after the dim, suffocating halls. I forced myself to shake it off. I was overthinking things. I grabbed coffee, some food, and an extra lamp just in case. On the way back, as I climbed the stairs to my floor, I heard it. Soft footsteps. Right behind me. I stopped. So did the steps. My heart pounded. Slowly, I turned my head. The stairwell was empty. But there was a shadow on the wall, stretched unnaturally long, as if someone was standing right there behind me. I ran the rest of the way. That night, I set up the new lamp near my bed. No way was I sleeping in the dark. I went to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face. The mirror was fogged from the shower earlier. As I wiped it down, my stomach dropped. In the reflection, I saw my room behind me. The walls, the furniture, and a shadow standing just outside the bathroom door. It was shaped like a person, but wrong. Too tall, too thin. I spun around. There was nothing there. But when I turned back to the mirror, the shadow had moved closer. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I knocked on the old woman's door. She hesitated before opening it just a crack. "You saw them, didn't you?" she said quietly. My mouth went dry. I nodded. She exhaled, eyes darting down the hall. Then she whispered, "They don't like it when you notice them." My skin crawled. "What the hell are they?" She shook her head. "Don't ask." Then she shut the door. That night, the shadows weren't just on the walls anymore. They were in the room with me. I didn't sleep that night. I kept every light on. But the thing about light is that it doesn't erase shadows. It creates them. And the ones in my apartment weren't acting right anymore. I sat on my bed, phone in hand, trying to distract myself. Every few minutes, I glanced at the walls. The shadows weren't moving this time. They just lingered, stretching from the furniture, the door, the corners. But they felt wrong. Their angles were too sharp. Their edges flickered like candle flames in a windless room. And sometimes, when I looked away and back too quickly, they seemed closer, like they were waiting. At exactly 3:12 a.m., the power cut out. The overhead light died. My new lamp flickered once, twice, then went dark. Panic shot through me. I scrambled for my phone, turning on the flashlight. The beam hit the far wall. And I swear to God, something moved. A shape, darker than the pitch-black room, peeled itself from the corner and slid out of sight. I couldn't breathe. My fingers trembled as I aimed the light around the room. Nothing, just the shadows. Waiting. I sat there, gripping my phone, waiting for the power to come back. That's when I heard it. The whispering. It started soft, like wind slipping through cracks in the walls. But as the seconds passed, it grew clearer. Not wind, voices, low, rasping murmurs curling from the darkness. Too many voices. They slithered across the walls, circling me. I couldn't understand the words, but the tone was unmistakable. Mocking, laughing, like they knew something I didn't. I pressed my hands over my ears. "Shut up," I whispered. The voices stopped. For a second, the silence was worse. Then, from the far corner of the room, one voice spoke. "He sees us." The light flickered back on, and for a split second before my eyes adjusted, I saw them. The walls were crawling with shadows. The next morning, I packed a bag. I didn't care if I had to break my lease. I was leaving. But as I headed for the door, something stopped me cold. A black stain had appeared on the wall near the bedroom door. It hadn't been there before. I stepped closer. The dark smear spread like an oil spill, but something about it felt off. I reached out, hesitated, then pressed my fingers against it. It was warm and pulsing, like something alive. I yanked my hand back, heart pounding. The stain quivered, then slowly spread further across the wall. I turned and ran. I stormed into Mr. Belson's office on the first floor. "I need out of my lease," I snapped. "Today." The old landlord barely looked up from his paperwork. "No refunds." I gritted my teeth. Something's wrong with that apartment. For the first time, he met my gaze. His eyes were dull, tired. You saw them, didn't you? A chill ran down my spine. I swallowed hard. "You knew." He didn't answer. Instead, he sighed, scribbled something on a piece of paper, and slid it toward me. A list of names. Dozens. No, hundreds. Some were scratched out. Some had dates beside them. I saw the last name before mine. Kyle Matthews. Moved in March. Left April. Or at least, tried to. I looked back up. What happened to them? Belson didn't blink. They never left. The shadows in the corners of the office twitched. I backed away, and from somewhere deep in the building, I heard a door creak open. I ran. I didn't care about my things. I didn't care about breaking my lease. I just knew I needed to get the hell out of that building. But the moment I stepped into the hallway, I knew something was wrong. The air felt thick, heavy like walking through water. The dim ceiling light flickered, casting warped shadows that seemed to shift when I wasn't looking directly at them. The elevator at the end of the hall loomed like an escape hatch. I sprinted toward it. That's when I heard it. A door creaking open behind me. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I slammed my palm against the elevator button. The ding echoed through the hallway, louder than it should have been. The door slid open. I jumped inside and hit the L button. As the door shut, I caught a glimpse of the hall. Something was there. A shadowy figure, standing just outside my apartment. Too tall, too thin, featureless. The doors closed. I leaned against the back wall, heart pounding. The elevator jerked, then started its descent. But after a few seconds, my stomach dropped. We weren't stopping. The floors kept passing. El bien. B2. B3. I stabbed at the buttons, but the panel wouldn't respond. The elevator shuddered to a stop. The doors slid open. It was pitch black outside. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. The space beyond the elevator was impossibly dark, a kind of blackness that swallowed the dim light from the ceiling. Then, from somewhere deep inside the darkness, I heard it. A whisper. "You shouldn't have looked." I slammed the door, close button, jabbing it over and over. The doors shut slowly, too slowly, like something was holding them open. Just before they closed completely, something shifted in the blackness. A shadow crawling toward me. Then darkness. The elevator shook violently before shooting upward. When the doors opened, I was back on my floor. But the hallway was wrong. The walls looked rotted, like they'd been abandoned for years. A foul stench filled the air, thick and suffocating. And worst of all, the lights were off, all except for one. A single bulb flickered above my apartment door. I took a step forward, and the carpet beneath my feet squelched like something wet. Then, a sound came from inside my apartment, a low scraping noise, like something being dragged across the floor. I didn't want to go inside, but where else could I go? I forced myself forward, hand trembling as I reached for the knob. The moment my fingers touched the metal, silence. The scraping stopped. I swallowed hard and slowly pushed the door open. The apartment was freezing cold. I stepped inside. My furniture was gone. The walls were bare, stripped down to cracked plaster. And in the middle of the room, a dark shape stood motionless, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. It didn't move, didn't breathe. I stepped back. My foot brushed against something on the floor. I looked down. A notebook, and written in jagged handwriting across the cover, "Do not turn around." The room went silent. I felt something looming behind me. Then a cold, rasping whisper, "We see you." I didn't turn around. I couldn't. My entire body locked up, every nerve screaming that if I so much as twitched, something unspeakable would happen. The whisper was still ringing in my ears. "We see you." The thing behind me, whatever it was waiting, waiting for me to acknowledge it, waiting for me to turn around. I clenched my fists. I had two choices: run or face it. I stared at the notebook on the floor. "Do not turn around." My pulse thundered in my ears. If I moved too quickly, if I made the wrong choice, a slow, dragging breath filled the space behind me. I could feel its presence, too close, too real. I couldn't breathe. I didn't dare blink. Then a whisper directly in my ear. "You already did." The room rippled. I felt an impossible shift, like reality itself had tilted. My legs gave out, and I crashed onto the floor. The apartment changed around me. The walls peeled back, revealing endless, writhing shadows. The floor vanished, replaced by an abyss so dark it seemed to swallow all light. And standing in the center of it all, the thing, it wasn't just a shadow anymore. It had form. Too tall, too thin, too wrong. A gaping hole where a face should be. But somehow, I knew it was looking at me. And I knew what it wanted. The shadows weren't just watching me. They had been waiting. Waiting for me to break the one rule. And I had. I had turned around. I had seen them. And now, they were taking me where I was never meant to go. I tried to run, but the moment my foot hit the ground, I fell. Fell into the darkness. Fell into the shadows. Fell into their world. I don't know how long I was falling. Time doesn't exist here. I landed in a place that is nowhere and everywhere. A realm of endless dark corridors and whispering figures. The air is thick with shifting shadows. I am not alone. There are others. People like me. People who looked too long. Who turned around. Who saw the things that were never meant to be seen. And now we crawl on the walls, too. Watching. Waiting. For the next one to see us. If you're reading this, it means you've seen them, too. It means they've let me reach you. You have one rule now. Do not turn around. Because if you do, we will be waiting.